Search the Everglades Alligator Farm. Okay, everybody has seen the signs on the way over here telling you that this is a wet ride, correct? Okay, now I'm standing in front of you verbally telling you this is a wet ride. During the fast part of this ride, we're going to be doing high-speed 360 spins. Now, you can imagine doing donuts in a boat that has a 6-foot propeller on the back with the little wind blowing, that water is going to go everywhere. No matter where you sit on these boats, there will be water involved. Those of you that choose to sit up in the front seats, there will be gallons of water involved. Second thing is that these boats under full power are extremely loud. We provide hearing protection for everybody. The headsets are located in the dark boxes. On the way to the boats, please make sure you grab yourself a pair. Line number 1, my name is Sheridan. I'll be your driver today. And line number 2, we're going to join Mario over there. Folks, once we get out there, we take off under full power. This is a fast-paced, wet, crazy little boat ride. Y'all ready to go?
Yeah!
All right, hold on to your hats, folks. We're about to embark on a thrilling deep dive right into the heart of the Florida Everglades.
And we've got a whole stack of sources to guide us, everything from tour websites to historical articles, even some firsthand accounts from airboat adventurers.
Yeah, we're talking the real deal here, the kind of stuff that'll make you feel like you're right there in the boat.
Our mission, should we choose to accept it,
Oh, we're accepting it.
is to uncover the history, mechanics, and the impact these airboats have on the Everglades ecosystem.
And hey, maybe we'll even pick up some tips for spotting wildlife along the way.
Yeah.
I've always kind of assumed airboats were, as Floridian as alligators.
Oh, that's a pretty common misconception, actually. Believe it or not, their origins are a lot farther north.
Really?
Yeah. We're talking about the mind of Alexander Graham Bell.
Wait a second, the telephone guy?
The one and only. Back in 1905, he built the first airboat up in Canada. It wasn't quite the sleek machine you'll be seeing, though. Imagine, like, a catamaran with a propeller slapped on it. And get this, it could only go about 4 miles an hour. Not exactly the high-speed thrill ride we associate with airboats today, huh?
No, not quite. So how do we go from Bell's leisurely boat to the ones that are practically synonymous with the Everglades?
Well, fast forward a few decades to the 1930s. Floridians, always the innovators, realized these boats were perfect for the Everglades' unique environment. See, regular boats, they just get stuck in all that thick sawgrass.
Makes sense.
But airboats, with their flat bottoms and that elevated propeller, they could just skim right over the top.
Clever. Our sources also talk about how airboats actually help protect the Everglades' delicate ecosystem. How does that work?
Well, it all comes down to minimizing contact. Think about the sawgrass. It's not just some random plant, it's like the foundation of the whole ecosystem.
Right.
It provides shelter for all sorts of creatures and helps filter pollutants from the water. Airboats, by gliding over the top, they don't rip up the sawgrass, so they don't mess with that balance. Plus, no underwater motor means no risk of oil or gas leaks.
So they're like the eco-friendly speedsters of the swamp, right?
Exactly.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do these things actually work?
It's pretty simple, actually. A giant airplane-style propeller powered by an engine. No rudder, no underwater propeller, just that massive fan pushing air back, propelling the boat forward.
Yeah, that explains why they're so loud. One source compared it to a motorcycle revving up.
Yeah, it can be quite the experience.
And they can really move too, right?
Oh yeah, some can hit 35 miles per hour. On shallow water, it feels like you're flying.
Wow, that makes those sharp turns and spins even more impressive. But are there any downsides to this design?
Well, that noise we mentioned is a definite factor. Some sources highly recommend ear protection, especially for little kids or anyone sensitive to loud noises.
Good tip. Speaking of tips, what do our sources say about getting the most out of an Everglades airboat tour?
Well, first off, timing is everything. Morning tours are usually best for wildlife viewing, and it's a lot cooler temperature-wise.
Right.
And of course, come prepared. Sunscreen, bug spray, hat. You'll thank yourself later.
Oh, and don't forget your camera. Those alligator close-ups are amazing.
Absolutely. And for the serious photographers out there, the front seat offers the best views and angles, but be warned, it's also the windiest and splashiest spot.
Something to keep in mind. It sounds like these tours are more than just thrills, though. A lot of our sources emphasize the educational and conservation aspects.
Yeah, for sure. The guides, they're not just driving the boat. They often have a deep knowledge of the Everglades history, the plants, the animals. They really help you understand the importance of this whole ecosystem and the challenges it faces.
It definitely adds another layer to the experience, knowing you're learning while you're having fun.
Yeah.
It's amazing how intertwined airboats are with the Everglades, from the early explorers to the conservationists working there today.
It truly is a unique bond. Airboats have given us a way to access and understand this environment in a way that wouldn't be possible otherwise. Okay, here we go. You'll feel that little lift as we pull away from the dock, the airboat kind of rising up a bit.
I can almost feel the wind in my hair already.
It's exhilarating, isn't it? And look, over there, see how the sawgrass opens up like a curtain? A whole hidden world in there, just teeming with life.
Wow, yeah.
Notice how the sunlight hits the water? It's mesmerizing.
Oh, is that an alligator up ahead?
You've got sharp eyes, alligators, they're masters of camouflage, blend right into the surroundings. But with a little practice and some luck, you can spot them basking in the sun or lurking near the water's edge.
A guide in my video, he's pointing right at a spot. Seems like he knows exactly where to look.
That's the benefit of having an expert guide. They know these waterways like the back of their hand and the habits of the creatures that live here. They can navigate through those thick patches of sawgrass and lead you right to the best wildlife viewing spots.
It's amazing how they maneuver these airboats through such tight spaces. There's a part coming up in my video where we squeeze through a narrow channel of sawgrass. It's like a supercharged jungle cruise.
Hold on tight. Those narrow trails, that's where the airboat's maneuverability really comes in handy. The captain can spin that thing on a dime, making for some pretty exciting turns.
Okay, here comes the part where we really pick up speed.
Feels incredible, right? Especially on shallow water, you're practically skimming the surface. Wind in your hair, that sensation of pure speed, it's exhilarating.
My heart was definitely racing during this part.
Yeah.
But even with all the excitement, I still felt this sense of awe at, how vast and beautiful the Everglades are. It's truly unique.
It is. One of our sources described it as a river of grass. I always love that description.
River of grass. Yeah, that's perfect. It really captures how the water and the vegetation are so intertwined, creating this web of life.
Exactly. And within that web, you'll find an incredible variety of plants and animals. Keep your eyes peeled for birds, like herons and egrets, maybe even a hawk or an eagle soaring overhead. You might even catch a glimpse of a bobcat or a deer if you're lucky.
Oh, speaking of, my video is showing a close-up of great blue heron right now. It's stunning, standing so still and graceful at the edge of the water.
Herons are a pretty common sight in the Everglades. They're expert fishers, those long beaks, those lightning-fast reflexes. They can snatch a fish right out of the water in the blink of an eye.
The guide's explaining how important these birds are to the ecosystem. It sounds like they have a crucial role in keeping everything in balance.
They do. Every creature in the Everglades, from the tiniest insect to the largest alligator, plays a part. The health of the whole ecosystem depends on those complex relationships between species.
It really makes you realize how connected everything is, doesn't it?
It does. One source even called the Everglades a classroom without walls, a place where you can learn about ecology, biology, conservation, all at once.
That's a great way to put it. And not just for visitors either. It's a living laboratory for scientists who are constantly studying and learning more about this complex ecosystem.
That's right. And speaking of learning, notice how the guide in your video, he's not just steering the airboat, he's sharing his knowledge, pointing out interesting things, telling stories. It really adds to the experience.
It definitely does. It's like having a personal nature expert right there with you.
Exactly. And that's what makes a good airboat tour stand out, the guide's ability to connect you with the environment, make the whole thing truly memorable.
All right, get ready for this. This is the part I'm particularly excited to share, an alligator encounter.
Ah, the alligator encounter, the highlight of any Everglades airboat tour.
You can hear the engine slowing down in the video as we approach a spot where there are a bunch of alligators basking in the sun. It's pretty intense.
Alligators are fascinating creatures, aren't they? Apex predators, crucial for maintaining balance in the Everglades food chain.
The guide's explaining how to observe them safely, respectfully, keeping a safe distance, not disturbing them in their habitat. It's important stuff.
Absolutely essential. Remember, we're visitors in their world. Gotta treat them with respect and caution.
And here we go. The airboat glides right past a group of alligators, just lounging on the muddy bank. They look so prehistoric, like something out of a time capsule.
That's the beauty of the Everglades, isn't it? It's a glimpse into a world that's remained relatively unchanged for centuries, a real testament to the power of nature.
I'm zooming in with my camera, getting a close-up of their scaly skin, those powerful jaws. It's amazing how well they blend in.
Camouflage is their key to survival. It helps them ambush prey and avoid detection by other predators.
Well, the guy's pointing out something interesting. One of the alligators has a missing limb. He says it's probably from a territorial fight with another alligator.
Makes sense. Alligators are territorial, and they'll fight fiercely to defend their space and their resources.
The footage really captures the intensity of the encounter. I can see the tension in the alligator's posture as we pass by.
It's a good reminder that we're in their domain. Always got to be mindful of their presence.
I was definitely feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness, but mostly just awe at these incredible creatures. It's a privilege to witness them in their natural habitat.
It is a privilege, and one we shouldn't take for granted. The Everglades and all the creatures that live here, they face so many threats. Habitat loss, pollution, climate change.
It's a sobering thought. Really makes you realize how crucial it is to support conservation efforts.
Yeah.
And advocate for the protection of this whole ecosystem.
Couldn't agree more. We all have a part to play in making sure the Everglades thrives for generations to come.
Now, as we move on from the alligator encounter, I'm noticing a shift in the mood of the tour. The engine slows down. We're gliding through a much quieter, calmer part of the Everglades now. It's peaceful.
Yes. Those moments of tranquility, they're just as much a part of the Everglades experience as the more adrenaline-pumping encounters.
It's a cool contrast, the high-speed thrills and then these peaceful interludes. It's like the Everglades are giving us a chance to slow down, breathe, and just appreciate the beauty of it all.
Exactly. One source described it as a meditative journey through the heart of the Everglades. I love that.
Me too. It really captures the feeling I'm getting from this part of the video, a real sense of peace and connection with nature.
It reminds us that the Everglades are more than just a place for adventure. They're a sanctuary, a place to reconnect with yourself.
You can hear all these sounds of nature around you. The sawgrass rustling, birds chirping, frogs croaking. It's calming and invigorating at the same time.
And without that loud engine, you can really immerse yourself in those sounds. It's a sensory experience unlike any other.
I'm panning my camera slowly, taking it all in. The endless sawgrass, the sparkling water, the clouds reflected on the surface like a mirror. It's breathtaking.
A true visual feast. The Everglades are a paradise for photographers. There's beauty everywhere you look.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity to experience this firsthand, and it's definitely renewed my commitment to protecting this incredible place.
I think that's a sentiment shared by a lot of people who've experienced the Everglades. It leaves a mark, inspires awe and wonder, and a deep appreciation for how connected all life is.
Well said. Okay, brace yourselves, folks. We're about to encounter some of the smaller, but just as fascinating residents of the Everglades, the insects.
Ah, yes, the insect world. A vital part of the Everglades ecosystem, though perhaps not as universally loved as the alligators and birds.
That's true. I can see some dragonflies zipping past the camera. They're pretty cool, actually, with their iridescent wings and how fast they move.
Dragonflies are a good sign, a sign of a healthy ecosystem. They're voracious predators, keeping those mosquito populations in check.
That's good to hear. I'm not the biggest insect fan, but I can appreciate their role in keeping things balanced.
And even though some insects aren't, the most appealing to look at, they're essential for pollination, breaking down organic matter, and as a food source for other animals.
Right. The guide is pointing out a spider web, covered in dewdrops. It's intricate, delicate, a real work of art.
Spiders, they're master builders and hunters, and they play a big role in controlling insect populations.
Okay, here comes the part that might make some people squirm. Getting some close-ups of a few mosquitoes buzzing around now.
Ah, the infamous mosquitoes. Can't forget about them. They're pretty much everywhere in the Everglades, especially at certain times of year.
The guide's assuring everyone that the airboat's speed helps keep them away, but he's still recommending insect repellent, just in case.
Good advice. Mosquitoes can be annoying, but they're also an important part of the food chain, providing food for bats, birds, and other creatures.
I'm definitely glad I chose a morning tour. Seems like the mosquitoes are less active when it's cooler.
Yeah, morning and evening tours are generally better for avoiding those pesky mosquitoes.
As we keep going, I'm noticing the scenery looks kind of familiar, like we've been here before.
That's because airboat tours often follow a loop, taking you through different habitats and then bringing you back to the starting point.
Interesting. It feels like we've covered a lot of ground, but within a defined area.
Like exploring a little microcosm of the Everglades, getting a taste of its diversity within a reasonable time frame.
I see the dock up ahead. Looks like our airboat adventure is coming to an end.
It is. But the memories and what you've learned will stick with you long after you step off the boat.
They will. It's been an amazing experience full of thrills, wonder, and a whole new appreciation for how beautiful and fragile the Everglades are.
Now, as you think back on this whole experience, I want you to consider something. What's one thing you'll take away from this adventure? Something that'll stay with you even after the wind has died down and the engine is quiet.
Wow, what a ride. You know, as we wrap up our virtual airboat tour, I'm feeling that same mix of wonder and a real desire to learn even more about the Everglades.
Yeah, it's a common reaction. The Everglades, they have this way of captivating people, sparking a curiosity to understand how it all works and the challenges this ecosystem faces.
You know, watching that footage, I couldn't help but think back to Alexander Graham Bell and that early airboat he built.
It really is amazing to think his invention, it was meant for a completely different environment. And yet it found its true purpose right here in the Florida Everglades.
Imagine if he could see those airboats today, zipping through the sawgrass, navigating those tight waterways, getting us up close to alligators. What do you think his reaction would be?
Oh, I bet he'd be blown away. Just by how much his creation has evolved, the speed, the maneuverability of modern airboats.
Yeah, a far cry from his, 4-mile-an-hour prototype?
Yeah, pretty much. But I think beyond just the technological advancements, he'd be most fascinated by how integral the airboat has become to the Everglades ecosystem.
You're right. From helping with conservation efforts to giving scientists this unique platform for research, airboats have become essential tools for understanding and protecting this whole environment.
It's true, and maybe that's the most significant evolution of all. The shift from just a mechanical invention to something that helps us connect with nature, and inspires us to be better stewards of this planet.
I like that. It really highlights how innovation can bring us closer to nature, make us want to protect it.
Absolutely. So as we come to the end of our deep dive here, I want to leave you with a final thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
The Everglades, it's a dynamic system. It's always changing, always adapting. But its future, it really hinges on the choices we make today. Will we prioritize protecting it? Will we support the research and the conservation work needed to keep it healthy and resilient?
Those are some important questions. It's a good reminder that what we do matters. And even small choices can have a big impact on this fragile ecosystem.
They really can. So as you continue exploring the world, whether it's virtually or in person, remember what we've talked about today. Stay curious, keep learning, and speak up for the protection of these natural wonders we have.
Absolutely. Well, to our listener, thanks for joining us on this journey into the heart of the Florida Everglades. We hope you've come away with a renewed sense of wonder and a commitment to helping preserve this amazing ecosystem for future generations.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those airbait engines roaring.
Until next time, happy adventuring.
I will be bumping into it with the front of the boat. Have to ask everybody to please remain seated.